So maybe Dak Prescott made news yesterday when it was reported the police needed to be called to his house in Prosper, Texas, because he was apparently throwing a house party in the quarantine. Now, in the municipality where Dak Prescott lives, they are not ordering folks to abide by the less than 10 person in any gathering quarantine by law. So when the cops came to see him, according to the Dallas-Fort Worth Star-Telegram, they asked him, were you holding a party? And he said no, and they left, taking him at his word on that. We have photos from TMZ showing not just Ezekiel Elliott being in attendance at this party, but that this party reportedly had up to 30 people at it. It's a terrible look for a guy who, one, has turned down a multi-year contract worth about $32 million annually in reported income, and for a guy that many people do not believe, as I believe, is integral to the Dallas Cowboys' future success. But even more so, it's a terrible look at a time when many people's lives and many people's events and family occasions, like birthdays, like the birthday party he was throwing, have been upended. So much so that folks are taking to Nintendo Switch to play a game that I see you playing quite often, called Animal Crossing, to try to have birthday parties or even weddings for family members to pick a character, show up, and bring a gift, and try to have some sort of communal environment where they can interact with each other at a time when we're not supposed to be interacting with each other for the greater good, quite literally, global good. We have a millionaire hosting a party, flaunting social mores, which is nothing new. But I wonder, is this the kind of thing that he will come to live down? And Super Bowl fixes a lot. But in this stage, how do you feel about what he's doing? I'm asking you, Mayberry.
Yeah, no, sorry. I was just getting off the phone.
Gotcha.
You're right on that. And it's interesting that you said that about the Animal Crossing stuff, because I actually have spent a lot of time with my sister playing that game while on FaceTime, because we grew up playing it, and it's a way to kind of connect while not being connected, if that makes sense. But, I think that's just the times that we're in, man. That's where we're at. And we've got to look outside the box while staying. I think we joked about this the other day, but you got to be outside the box while staying in the box. And it's just crazy. We're in a crazy place.
Yeah. And I believe this has been a practice of discipline more than anything else. And the way that people have tried to get around practicing this discipline is by claiming their individual nature and claiming their independence, for which I'm going, cool. As if we all don't want to be independent and we all aren't individuals. As if we all don't have some desire to stand apart. As a matter of fact, I would say that's the thing that we all most have in common, is we want to stand apart in the ways that we would like to stand apart. And one of those ways is having the freedom to travel, to do as we please. I'm fascinated with this idea because we continue to have discussions about the nature of freedom and the nature of, humanity and the loops that we are in. And before I get back into a Westworld discussion, to stay on this topic of individualism and what Dak Prescott is doing, aren't you supposed to be the leader of a football team? Aren't you supposed to be setting an example for not just the franchise, but the folks who claim to love the franchise? Do you not feel a responsibility to those people? And if you don't, maybe folks are right. Maybe you're not the person for this job. Maybe you're not disciplined enough to be the leader, right? Because to be the leader in this way is to make things harder on yourself and also bring that spotlight and harsh criticism on you before anybody else. I don't know that I lost respect for Dak Prescott because it's a different conversation. But I wonder how many of his teammates feel some kind of way about what he's doing. Because obviously Zeke showed up, so Zeke doesn't care. But there are people that don't like Zeke either. And I wonder, what would his offensive linemen have to say about this? Or even the defensive players on that team. Would you take it personally? Like, if you knew that I was throwing a house party, how would you feel about doing the show with me?
I mean, yeah, no, I would definitely be like, what are you thinking, RJ? I would be, I don't know. For us, it's a little bit of a different dynamic just because right now we don't see each other anyway. But like we are socially distanced. You are like miles away across Tulsa right now. But like, I mean, still, I would be like, come on, man. Like I'd be like, I thought you were better than that.
Yeah. Speaking of better than that, I want to go from that to this conversation around Todd Gurley's number. So for those of you that missed it, the shot is Todd Gurley's wearing number 21 for the Atlanta Falcons when we get football back, which felt fitting, right? The man went to Georgia, was a great Georgia tailback, and was one of the best tailbacks in the NFL for a brief period of time. And his Falcons fan, so it was nice that he got to go home and play for them. And he asked Deion Sanders if he could wear 21, and he said Deion was hating on him. To which Prime went to the Twitters and said, I was joking, wear the number. And I'm going, no, you're not, actually. I don't think you are. And I'll say that by saying this. When I played baseball at Booker T, the JV team, right, I wore my number, okay? I broke my clavicle trying to jump over a 6'4" first baseman at Edison. Yes, stupid on my part. Tried to put on my catcher's gear. Team tried to help me put on my catcher's gear. Went out to catch a pitch from Justin Bainey. Put my arm up, and my arm felt like it was going to fall off. I was in such pain. Didn't know it then. Got to the doctor. Broken clavicle. Okay, that means baseball's done for 4 to 6 weeks. When I got back, I found they gave my number away. Somebody else wanted my number. And I have never fully recovered from that. Because your number is like your name. It's your identity. It is how you identify with the sport. Don't care what the number is. It's yours. So much so that the only time that you don't feel, that you do feel okay about not having your number is when somebody got there first. In the picking of numbers, if somebody got to 20 before you got to 20, and 20 was your number, you try to get the next best thing. We see this negotiation happen all the time where players are willing to pay for numbers. Baker Mayfield famously, when picking out his number for the Cleveland Browns, says, I haven't picked out a number since I was a kid. 6. Let's go. Right? Tom Brady is 12. So much so that Chris Godwin just gave it up to him rather than fight him for it. And that says something about what Chris Godwin feels about Tom Brady because this number is an identity shift. So I don't believe Deion Sanders when he says that the only number that he ever really wanted to wear, he was willing to let Todd Gurley wear at the place where he's most known, right? I remember him as a Dallas Cowboy. Some of y'all remember him as a Niner, but he's a Falcon. You know, even the Baltimore Ravens fans will tell you that as he played with 35 out there. I also know this to be true because Harmon Killebrew was the same way, right? I haven't met a player who played for any length of time at any level who did not identify with his number. And while I wanted to commend Deion Sanders for letting Todd Gurley rock that 21, when I find out in private he's telling Todd, no, you can't wear my number. I'm going, all right, man, I get it. You can't give it up. I wish you would have just stayed with I can't give it up. And just tell Gurley to keep wearing 30 or something. You know? Tell him you don't like it. Be petty about it. But be petty everywhere. Don't be petty to him and then not be petty in public. Be authentic everywhere you go. That's the only part of this that I find a bit untoward. I am, however, happy that Gurley is going to wear 21. And I can't wait to see what he looks like for the Falcons and if that knee is going to be right. Because that might be actually a silver lining of all of this for Todd Gurley in this quarantine. Maybe he's getting the rest that he needs to play well next season. As myself having bad knees from running marathons and doing mostly just the mileage to be able to run marathons, can tell you all about how just having some time off can do wonders for how you will go through your athletic career later in life. 3 knee surgeries to show for that.